All right.
Yay!
we made it.
All right.
Claire Morrison, thank you for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
You said you're in town for a while. You extended your stay. What are you up to?
Yeah, well, I have a couple of like interviews and stuff going on that end, and I actually extended because I'm going to be doing some co-writing as well in the next like couple of weeks. So I'll be doing some songwriting with an artist here called Aaron Prop. So that's coming up. And then I also, I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be announced, but I'm also going to be participating in a French language songwriting camp at Falcon Lake. So it's going to be organized by the Salno in a couple of weeks from now. And so I'll be going out there from the 9th to the 13th and writing a bunch of new music.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I've heard there's just like a few of these things going on, like the retreats, the songwriting things. I really want to do one. I haven't.
Highly recommend. Yeah, can't recommend enough.
Have you done something like that before?
Yeah, I've done a number of them, but it's always like, especially right now when you're in the process of like I released a record last year, but now I'm like really fully in writing mode and like want to be doing a lot of new stuff. And so it's like it's a really, really good timing for me to go out, especially like, you know, you can't complain about going out to Falcon and staying in a cabin for a week and writing with a bunch of other people. It's going to be really fun.
Do your family have a cabin?
No, we never had a cabin. My parents weren't cabin people, so I will take it any chance I get.
Do you have friends with cabin though? You have.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Like because I'm based in Montreal, like I'd say that there's less of a cabin culture there. But like there's like my best friend, like her dad has a cabin, and we go out every once in a while. But it's not the same as here, where like here people go out for like the whole summer, or you know,
Yeah. I've thought about the cabin. I don't have one.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. I think I'm a city boy, just that it is what it is.
Totally.
But it's fun to romanticize the, you know.
Of course. Especially like a cabin you don't have to pay for. Yeah. Very romantic.
Yeah. You thinking is Montreal home?
Yeah. I mean, unless something really wild happens, but this year in 2026, it'll be 13 years since I moved. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that that's a pretty good hint at like how settled I'm feeling there. Although, you know, like pre-pandemic, I was also sort of considering, like I was working with more collaborators in Europe and stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, like maybe I'd go and I'd, you know, move to Belgium or move to France for a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Like, I certainly wouldn't say no to the opportunity, but I think now I feel a lot more sort of like settled in Montreal as my home base. And then from there, from Montreal, you can go a lot of places, you know, like Toronto is right next door. So that's like really, really easily accessed if I want to go work with people there. And, you know, even from, you know, especially compared to growing up in Winnipeg, like Montreal, even to go to Europe is so close. Like it just feels so much more accessible because you don't have to go through, you know, Winnipeg, Toronto or whatever. You know, like if I decide like in Montreal, I need to go to Paris for something, like I can be there in 6 hours. So it's,
that's huge actually.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's like, it's definitely one of those cities like in the eastern part of Canada that's kind of a gateway to Europe and to the European markets for that reason. Yeah. You've
been to Europe then?
Yeah, several times. Yeah.
What was the last time?
When was the last time? Well, okay. Actually, I was supposed to go, I guess that was fall of 2024. And that's a wild story actually, because up until recently, I also had a project that was based between Montreal and here called Fire and Smoke. That was like a folk, sort of like more bluegrass Americana kind of project. And we were supposed to go out actually to Belgium and to France. We had tour dates in France and Belgium. And, you know, we flew out of Montreal. We had everything we needed. All of our gear was on the plane, which like in and of itself is like a miracle. And then we're like flying through the air and I'm like, something's wrong. Like I can see that the flight attendants are kind of like talking about something that's not normally happening. And then a little while later, the plane turned around and we were like, and I was like, Dan, like the plane, like they're turning this plane around. Like, I don't know what's happening, but like something's up. And maybe like 5-10 minutes later, the pilot got on the intercom and was like, don't be alarmed, but we are experiencing a technical failure of the aircraft. And so we have to take you back to Montreal. And so we flew.
Don't be alarmed is crazy.
Don't be alarmed. And like, it was wild because he was like, so we're experiencing a technical failure. There's like a problem with the hydraulic system, which like the hydraulics control everything in the airplane. Right. And so we were like, okay,
don't freak out. The plane is not working.
Don't freak
as
out.
It should.
And they were like, don't be too concerned, but like just as a precaution, like all of the emergency services are going to be waiting for us on the tarmac when we fly in. So it was literally one of those experiences where like you're landing in an airport and you see like ambulances and fire engines and like all on the tarmac, like next to where you're landing, just because the plane like might go up in flames. So that was really exciting. And actually it was a huge bummer because, shout out Air Canada. They couldn't put us on a flight that would get us to our tour in time. And so we had to cancel it, which was a huge bummer because it was like, it was a really short run. It was like four dates.
Okay.
And the first date that we had to get into Paris and then take the train down into sort of like the southwest part of France. And it just didn't leave us with enough time. We would have had to like rebook all of the routing. Like even just logistically, it didn't make sense anymore. So that was the last time I was supposed to go. And the time before that, I think we're talking like pre-pandemic, like in 2018 and 2019, I was working with an artist who's based here called Rihanna. And she, at the time, like was touring in Europe a bunch, and she took me on as her manager, but also as an accompanying musician. So I was also playing in the band. And we did a bunch of stuff in Europe. We did Germany, France, Belgium, some dates in Switzerland. We went to Luxembourg together. Like we went to a bunch of places in Europe. So yeah, I've been a few times, but not recently. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That sounds like a fun one though. Do you have a decent amount of time to like explore or do fun stuff, or is it pretty go?
Well, yeah, the first tour that we did together, her and I, it was a pretty long tour. Like I think it was like 5.5 weeks in all. Oh, wow. And on that tour, like we did have some like some breaks in the tour schedule. So we were able to do like quite a bit actually of just like kind of like discovering and wandering around and like doing a little bit of touristy stuff. But it was still pretty pedal to the metal. Like I flew into Berlin, and then we went up to Reeperbahn, which is a festival in Hamburg, which is just like amazing. And so that was like one of the first things that I did when I got there was like Berlin. I had meetings at the Canadian Embassy in Berlin, like with other like music people. Like I was much more like on the industry side at that time. So I had a bunch of meetings, and then it was like, okay, we're like driving up to Hamburg, and then we're in this crazy festival for 4 or 5 days. And then we did like, a good number of tour dates. And then after that European leg of the tour, we came back to Canada and did Eastern Canada. So we did Halifax Pop Explosion, and we did some showcasing in Toronto as well. So by the time we were done, it was like, it's one of those tours that you really feel like there's kind of like a before and an after in your life, because you see so much new stuff and you learn so many things and you're like absorbing so much new information that it's the kind of trip that you really do like feel changed by when you come home. Yeah.
And how do you think it changed you?
Oh, well, that trip was especially important for me because at that time I hadn't been to I hadn't been to proper Europe yet. I'd only been to the UK. And that was also like, there was like, I now it's funny to be like, oh yeah, like the UK part of Europe, because obviously England is not part of Europe anymore. So it was my first time like visiting like Europe proper. And it's a bit of a cliche, but it definitely did make the world feel like bigger and smaller at the same time.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Just in the sense that you get to go off and like see how so many other people are living and like what's going on in their corner of the world. And it opens to your eyes to all sorts of realities that you maybe wouldn't have conceived of before, but it also makes those realities seem like much more accessible.
Yeah.
And that like right around that period, actually, was a really wild year for me, 2018, because right before that tour, like right before that 6-week tour, 5.5-week tour that we did, I had also gone to Japan right before. Ooh. So it was really like a couple of months where it was like the world just like felt like it opened itself up to me, you know? Yeah. And like, I came back from Japan. I had something like 30 hours in Montreal to like change over my suitcase and get ready to leave again. And then I went on and then I went on that trip. Yeah. It was a wild, there are times in your life that like you look back on and you're like, ooh, that was like a real, like, oh, you like level up in the video game of your life kind of like, you're like, oh, like, hey, like I've just like unlocked a new door and like, here I am.
Yeah. That's awesome. And wait, how long was it in Japan again?
I was in Japan for like almost a month. So like 3.5 weeks before that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tour in Japan?
No, it was just tour. Like I was just like there as a tourist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. How was that?
Amazing. Yeah, I've like wanted to go back ever since. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's funny because now I think it's in a lot of ways like so overrun by tourists that I think it's probably like a very different experience. Hopefully like it's not changed too much. Like it was amazing when I went. I had an amazing time, but I also had friends there who were local to there. So that really changes your experience.
Yeah, way different. Yeah.
Like when I went to Kyoto, I actually like stayed at the parents of a friend of mine. Yeah. And that's a very unique experience that I think a lot of tourists like don't necessarily get to access.
Yeah, that's not the hostel.
It's not the norm. Yeah. But I did, like for most of the time that I was in Tokyo, I did stay in hostels and stuff. Yeah. And it was awesome. Also because hostels in Japan are very different from hostels like in the States or here or.
How so?
They're clean. They're clean and like well organized, and they feel like somewhere that you actually like want to stay. Yeah.
I had pretty good hostels I was in Southeast Asia last year, and it's really like I stayed in the whole spectrum, right? Of like the garbage hostels, the really good ones. But yeah, the clean good ones are always available. They just maybe more expensive.
Totally.
Whatever, but.
Totally.
Have you done any other traveling just as a traveler?
Just as a traveler? Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely not the kind of person who's like counting the number of countries that I've been to, but like it's pretty good. Like my country count is pretty good. I've been to Argentina, I've been to Chile, like I've done some of South America, and then a bunch of places in Europe and Japan, and hopefully I'd love to go, like dream destinations coming up. I'd love to go to Korea. Really, really, really intrigued by that. But otherwise, like, it's just like, it's been long enough now that I, since I was in Europe last, and I really do love being there, and that's kind of like where I'm setting my sights for the next trip. Hopefully some touring, who knows? It's not in like officially in the works. It's kind of always in the works. Like my manager and I are kind of always like thinking about places that I want to go, and like things that we're trying to sort of target, especially now that, I'm like not interested in going to the States at all. So, you know, the European markets kind of feel like the sort of,
that's the next step,
you know, and like even before like the United States like succeeded in like literally setting itself on fire, like even before that, I wasn't really ever considering it as a market that I really, really wanted to tour in. But certainly not now.
Yeah, it's tough now.
But like some people, it depends. Like some people really are like, some people are still going, and some projects are really like, oh, well, like we've invested so much into like developing this market, and you know, so it depends on your personal approach. But like, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that I think that there should actually kind of be like an embargo on like Canadian artists touring in the States right now, because it's just, even, you know, as I say, like even before, like it wasn't such a good place to tour for Canadians, and even before, like there wasn't any kind of reciprocal visa agreement, right? So it's much easier for American artists to come and tour here and, you know, and do the stuff that they want to do, and than it is for us to go there. Just like the cost of the visa itself is like so prohibitive. And you know, that issue is not resolved either. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, it's sort of like, well, if we're not welcome there, then like, let's go tour other places.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Tough, yeah.
It's a bummer because they're our neighbors, you know, and I know that there are like lots of music fans there and lots of people who, you know, who love it when Canadians come down and stuff. It's just that there has to be like, there was already a need for change before things got so scary.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something a little cooler, which is your album.
Well, thanks. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I really love it. It's like, love the songwriting, the production is very like cinematic. How do you go from the raw song to the full production? Are you arranging that?
No. Well, okay. For this record, this is my first full length record. Mm-hmm. And generally speaking, for me, composing is a guitar and voice thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really thinking about arrangement at all until the whole song is done. Like the song itself has to exist. It has to be like this like thing that can like walk on its own, you know? But for the, like on the production end and like sort of how we like built these songs out, I worked actually with Rihanna. She was the person who produced my record, which was kind of fun because it was this sort of role reversal of, you know, having worked with her like in a management capacity and having played with her in her band. And then I like left those roles and then took her on as producer for my record. And she's like much more in the sort of like electronic production world, like is huge into synths, for example. So she brought a lot of that knowledge and brought a lot of that color palette into the project, which is what I wanted. Like I really wanted, I knew that I didn't want to make, or I wasn't that interested or like excited creatively by the idea of like making a really like sort of straightforward folk record, you know, like, and I think that as I keep going, that's I'm going to distance myself even farther and farther from that. Cause I think that, you know, it is folk music in the sense that it is like anchored in like, what are the lyrics saying and how are the lyrics put together and what kind of like, you know, what kind of melodies are going on and what kind of chord changes there are. But there's also like a real alternative element. And I think that, you know, having Ray on the team is really like what helped me sort of like build that out and bring the things that I had in my mind to life. And so it was a long process, especially because we don't live in the same city and we made the record like mostly during the pandemic. So that was like, you know, it was like, why do something the easy way when you can make it really difficult? But yeah, so we were like, you know, in like, I guess I'm trying to think like when we wrapped recording on the record, I don't want to make things up here, but like it definitely like the recording the record from top to bottom probably took about 2 years. And then I, you know, got it mixed and everything. And then it sat in the can for a while because by the time I was done making the record, it was one of those things where like the process was so long and complicated. And like, we had so many people working on the record. Like the team in all is like 15 people. And some of them are here in Winnipeg and some of them are in Montreal. So it was also like a question of like figuring out like, hey, like when are we who's going to track when and like, how are we going to do this and where are we going to do this? So like, even like studio wise, it got recorded in like 6 different places. So it was pretty wild. I don't know that I'll do that again for the second record, but yeah, it really is like the choice of producer in so many ways that like allowed for that kind of like new world in my music to be built. And I think it's only going to get, I mean, I don't want to I don't want to hold myself to any statements that I can't like, you know, that I don't have the courage of my convictions about, but I think it's only going to get weirder from here.
Nice. Yeah. And so if it was 2 years to do recording, and it was probably still like a couple of years after then that it came out, what were the loose ends that needed to be tied up?
It was mostly just that, like, after getting it like mixed and mastered and everything, I needed a time to like kind of let it rest. Because, and I think a lot of artists will relate to this, like sometimes you get to the process of like finishing a recording project and you've been so in it, like you've got such like serious blinders on that you can get to a place where you're like, I don't know if I like this anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I'm into this music anymore, or like, I don't know, you start to lose clarity, I think. And so part of it was that I needed some space from it in order to be able to like come back to it and listen to it with fresh ears and be like, oh yeah, I know why we did what we did. Like that was really important. But also at the time, like, because I was like working on other projects, and I was also like doing a lot more accompanying then. So I was like working as a session player for other people. And that summer after we finished the record, I was like touring quite a bit with 2 other acts. And I was also like getting ready to release something with Fire and Smoke. So it was like, it's like such a boring answer, but it really is just like a question of time.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I need to be able to like budget my time and energy in order to be able to do this properly, to put it out. 'Cause the record, like, I put it out independently. It wasn't on a label. So, and a lot of the, like PR wise and like so much of the radio stuff, a lot of that was like me, taking the years that I worked in artist management and like putting those skills to good use. But it meant that it was a huge workload for me. Right. I knew that going in, and like the visuals still had to be done and like all this stuff. So, it really just was like, okay, like I need a buffer of time to like get ready to like go back in and do the thing.
Well, and to do all that at a point when you're sick of the project, it doesn't make sense.
That's right. Like you have to love it.
Yeah.
You have to love it. And like, and I do. And like now, like I'm happy for that buffer, and I'm happy with the way that I sort of like, I gave it the time it needed for me to like come back to it and be like, oh yeah, like I'm into this, and I'm happy to put it out, and I'm excited for people to listen to it. And, but I think sometimes it takes the time.
Yeah. What were some songs in particular, if you have any, that you were like, oh, really not sure about this one, and then now you're actually like, okay, this is actually great?
Oh, I'm trying to think if there were any, like, I don't know that there were any songs that I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I think it was more, I just had my face like so close to the project. I was just so in it that I was like, I don't know if I'm hearing anything the way that it actually is. And like, I had to be able to like choose the singles and like do all this stuff. And I was like, and like come up with a vision like for what I wanted, like the visual world and all the branding. Like I just needed that space in order to be able to kind of think about that. So, but in terms of songs that I wasn't sure about, I'm not sure. I don't think there were any, honestly, like there wasn't a single one that we were like, this is filler. And in fact, now sometimes when I listen to the record, like when I'm getting ready to like send it to musicians I'm training for the show or whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, like we could have had like 1 or 2 more like chill songs on this record. Like we could have, because we went so, I think at least, and like maybe you have a different perception of it, but like my perception of the record is that it's so maximalist.
Yeah, I get that.
Like that I was like, whatever I want, I'm gonna have. Yeah. and that's how it is.
There's no like low key, just like acoustic cut, really. It's all
totally
pretty.
And I think that like what's funny about that now is that the record can be like listening to it from top to bottom. This is really funny, actually. Like really recently, we had like a family dinner with my girlfriend's family, and her mom put the record on while we were eating. Which, like, A, like don't ever do that to an artist. But B, I was like, damn, like this is not relaxing listening. Like it's super. Yeah. It's so representative of like some key parts of my personality, and that it's just like, it's really like, it can be like quite an intense listen, and there's like a lot going on, and it gives you a lot to think about. And I think that there's a lot of things that kind of like grab your attention, but it can also be like this sort of like big like wave over you. And if you're not in the mood for that, then like maybe that's not the record to put on. But at the same time, wouldn't want to tell people how they're going to experience it. So that's my take. But I think that we could have used like one song in the middle somewhere like that was really relaxed. So we'll see. Maybe, I actually like joke with them, like with the people around me, like, my girlfriend and some close friends who are also musicians, that like, sometimes I joke that like the next record that I make is going to just like all be like naive music. Like I'm just going to have like songs with like, 2 chords in them. That's it.
Do you like to write like that, or do you write like that ever? Just make like a dumb song?
No, but I think that would be good. Like, I think that would be a good change for me. I recently like, do you know what School of Song is?
No.
Okay. Very cool initiative. It's an online, basically it's like it's an online school essentially, where they organize, it's usually, the courses are usually like a month long, a couple times a week, but they invite artists like from all sorts of different styles to basically like develop a class on like kind of whatever they want. Like I did one recently that was like about songwriting, but it was with Laura Marling, like the English artist, which was amazing. And she talks a lot about, it was really interesting. One of the courses that she did, or one of the classes in her course in the beginning, was about like, naive approaches to music, and like, okay, like what happens when because you often have homework through School of Song. And one of the pieces of homework that we got was, really limiting what you're allowed to use when you write a song. So like really limiting yourself. It's like you get 3 chords. That's it. Like you don't, that's all. And like, and make something cool with that. And you should be able to make something, like it's like, taking away tools as a means of creative exploration. And I think that having made that record, now I think that there's, I've learned that there really is something to be said for going in the opposite direction as well.
I think there's definitely something to that. Like I know Jack White was big on that.
Sure, with, like, that makes sense.
Like the White Stripes, just to start, right? Just guitar and drums, that's it. And then even had a song that was like Little Room. Little Room? Mm-mm. The lyrics something like, when you're at a little room and you think of something good, you may, oh fuck, what is it? It's like, when you're, the concept is just like, when you're in your little room, you can make something and it seems easy. And you're going to dream about like, oh, how cool would this be if I was in a big room? And he says, when you're in a big room, now you can't come up with it because the room's too big.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah.
At what point did you realize that the version of Falling In on your EP was not the definitive version?
Oh man. I think probably when we start, like, I guess when I onboarded Ray probably to do the producing, I was kind of like, because she knew the initial EP, like she knew it pretty well, and she really likes the version that's on that EP actually, and I was kind of like, no, like I think I want to do it again, and I think I want to do something like really the reference that we used for that remake of that song, like in terms of just like general like color palette and like stylistic influence, was like, I want to make a dad rock song. Like I want to have fun with it in that way. And I do, like, in many, many ways really prefer this version, the new one.
Yeah. I think it's for sure
cool. Nice.
One. Yeah.
Thank you so much. But like, I mean, it's sort of like, it shows that it's worth it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's worth it to kind of go back. And like, it's interesting too, because like even now, like, would I remake that song the same way that I did it now? And I think that permission that you can give yourself to to revisit things. Like one thing I love when artists do is when, you know, they're touring a record or whatever, or like they're revisiting an older record, and they bring it out like in a show setting, but they've like totally rearranged it, or they've made it like they've really taken it in a different stylistic direction, and so the instrumentation is different, or like that's such a cool way to bring. Like I'm not a big fan of this idea, and we see that more and more now, that like your release, you know, you like make some music and then you put it out, and then it hopefully like performs well on the internet, whatever, and then it's dead. You know, right. Like it's like there is that sort of idea that like, well, like past that window, it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore or something, which like I love this like whole discussion that we're having now about like, no, like really rebuilding this idea of like personal archives of music, and like buying physical copies again, and like having real conversations about like, okay, but like what happens if like streaming goes out the window for whatever reason, you know, there's like a lot of reasons for why that could happen, but also like what that sort of system and what that sort of like perspective that we can have about music is, how that's changing the way that we consume music, and how it's making us a lot more disconnected from it. Yeah. And that we have a much more like passive relationship with music than we did before.
I think that's really big, because there's like, it's like, yeah, like I listen to so much music that like it for me, I'm like, well, I need to have the streaming because I listen to so much music. But then if you didn't, and you just listen to physical, or maybe you buy the albums, it's like you immediately, each song, each album is more important, right? Like it's, you're gonna actually listen to it.
Totally. You're gonna spend the time, you know, and I think that idea of spending the time with the music, like on the artist side, is like giving yourself the permission to go back and look at songs and be like, I'm gonna do this completely differently now, whether this is like on a recording or whether it's in a show setting, or, you know, like, and it's sick because with Falling In, like I had gotten to a place where I was like, I never want to play that song again. Like I'm not interested in playing it again. I don't want to put it in my shows anymore. People would ask me to do it, and I would really not be interested in doing it. And now that we've like redone it, and we've rearranged it, and the live version is really different, now it's like one of my favorite things to play in the set, because it's new again. And that is so fun. Yeah.
Imagine it's hard to like was it obvious that was the one that you were gonna do? Because I'm thinking like, couldn't you look at all of your songs and be like, oh well, I would do this differently, and like just redo the whole thing, right?
Oh yeah, so. Sure. But I think that like in terms of the other songs that were on the first EP, there was nothing there that I felt like I had more to say about. You know, like I am also like, I'm into like giving yourself permission to go back and like revisit your catalog and decide if there are things there that you want to do. And like, I'm a big fan of when artists release alternate versions, and, but the rest of the EP, I really felt like it had done what I wanted it to do. And that I didn't, you know, it's a really interesting question, because I never would have even imagined redoing any of the other ones. Yeah. Because I'm just like, they've accomplished what I set out for them to accomplish. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. It's just a slippery slope. I know if I gave myself permission to like completely redo old songs, I would just keep doing it. Totally. You know? Totally. But are you a perfectionist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but not so much so that I would want it ever to like prevent me from getting to the end of a creative process. You know what I mean? Like I do know people who I think give themselves a little too much permission, to like hack away at something. And I won't name any names, but I know a couple of people who have like recorded records and then started again from the beginning.
That's tough.
And that's just like, you know, speaking of School of Song, I'm actually just now like finishing a course with Daniel Patton, who has he's a music producer, but he's also like, he does a lot of scoring for film and stuff, but he's also got a project under the name One O Tricks Point Never. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, he's awesome. But he also did like, he's done like quite a lot of like music producing, like for other people, like The Weeknd, and he did the music for Uncut Gems, the movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's very, very cool. He also did the music for Marty Supreme.
Nice.
The new Timothée Chalamet movie.
I haven't seen it yet. You saw it?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard some of the music of it because I was in his class today actually on Zoom. And one of the things he was talking about was like, you never get stuck on any one thing because you have limited energy and you have limited time. And I think that there really is something to be said for just letting yourself build up that inertia. But if you're like cutting your own legs off by doing something like getting to the end of almost finishing a record and then being like, actually, I don't like this anymore, I'm starting again from the beginning. It's like you're like tying rocks to your legs and throwing yourself in the ocean, you know, like you're making it so much harder.
And it's like, even if you, on the second time it is a little better, like, was it actually worth it?
Like, I think that's what's like key to understand is that it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I don't know. And I mean, maybe I'm like, you know, maybe I am being a little dishonest here because I am also someone who, like, for certain songs on the record, like, we did make it to like version 7 or 8 of the mix before we sent it to Matt, like on certain songs, not on every song, because my mixing guy would have quit probably. But, you know, like, I think we were really ambitious and we were really thorough in the way that we made the record. But even then, even that, I'm not sure that I would do that the same way next time. I think that I would allow myself, I'm hoping we're going to manifest this. We're just going to send this into the universe. I'm hoping that in future processes like this, that I'm going to give myself a little bit more of a right to the idea of like good enough. As opposed to like, oh, is this like the exact right thing? Yeah. You know? Yeah. Cause certainly like, yeah, I definitely am a perfectionist, but I also like hope to recover from that condition one day.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in like, to get better art or a better product of whatever you're doing, like you get there on, it's just reps. Like you do this one, you finish it, and that's how you get better. Like,
for sure.
You don't need to put all your energy into this one thing and make it the best. Like you do this as good as you can right now, and then the next one will be better, and the next one will be better than that. Yeah,
and like another idea that I like thinking about is like, why would perfect be desirable? You know, like why is that a good goal? Actually, which seems like, I remember the first time I heard someone talking about that, I was like, it like kind of blew my mind because I was like, oh my God, what if that isn't the goal? Like, you know, but I think that what can be a little tricky about perfection is that like sometimes, especially in music and in the creative process, like, there can be a point past which what you end up making can be really sterile.
Yeah.
Right. Because you've like massaged all the life out of it.
Yeah.
And you don't want that, you know, like that's definitely not the goal.
Yeah.
So I think that there can be that danger a little bit.
Always like perfect in like sounding perfect or perfect in like how it sounds, how you want it to sound. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be like sterile like that, but I guess, is the goal with art always just to make it, to execute your vision as perfectly as you can?
Yes, and I think you also have to be open to surprises. Because there are going to be there are going to be things in the process where you're like, you know, spur of the moment decisions that you make, or staffing decisions that you make, you know, like someone that you have come into play who, you know, felt like the right person and is maybe not the right person, but like, is that so bad? Like there, you know, there's lots of, there's something to be said too for like music that, like, for example, I think that one of the reasons why people like projects like Courtney Barnett so much is that it's kind of like, it's all kind of sideways,
right?
You know,
right.
Like, but it's really, but it has, it's like, it's really got that conviction of like, yeah, I'm like really shooting from the hip here. And that I think is actually like really like exciting for a lot of people. Because I think it really, it rubs against, you know, that idea that things have to be perfect for you to put them out in the world. And that's like clearly not the approach there.
Yeah. And like, because she's not taking that approach, that has like so much more character and just like something to latch onto. You know?
And it's like, it's so badass.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, like it's certainly, and like, I totally get what you mean about like, oh, like it being perfect doesn't necessarily mean that it's sterile, but I think it is just good to be open to surprises, and also being open to this idea that like, you don't always know what's best for your song too. Like, cause you can get so like, we can get so attached, right?
Yeah,
like we can get so attached to like, oh, well, like for sure on this song, I want, you know, ABC, and I want, you know, like I want these instruments, and for sure that's what I want. But like, you know, it does happen that like you come back to a song afterwards and you've done it exactly the way that you wanted it in your mind. That's like what you thought that it was. And for whatever reason, it doesn't have the impact that you thought it was going to have. Or, so yeah, I think that you really have to be open to good surprises. Yeah. And not to, and like, I'm really like speaking to myself at the same time as I say these things. But I think that you really have to, you do have to be careful about not being too precious with your songs.
Were there any accidents that became integrated?
Trying to think if there were any accidents. No, but that would be like a great prompt for songwriting. It's like, how can you like, you know, how can you like incorporate happy accidents? Like, for example, like if you have, you know, something I've been playing a lot with is this really fun, it's this really fun little like plugin called Life. I don't know if you know this plugin. No. But basically it has like a DAW component on your computer, and then it also has like a mobile app component. And the mobile app allows you to like basically take little clips of sound wherever you are. You kind of, it's like, it's very much like based on this idea of like found sound. But what's fun about it is that then like your mobile app sends it directly into your DAW. And then, it's basically like a beat making plugin.
Actually, I might have seen this.
It's super fun. It's like in many, it feels like a toy. Yeah. You know, like, and it's just like a fun, like fresh way to sort of bring new blood in when you're kind of like, okay, like it's just it's a good tool for exploring. And I feel like that's a good example of just like things that are kind of total accidents. Like you don't, when you like take a bunch of found sound, and it's like, it's cool because it limits the like number of seconds of sampling that you can use before it sends it to the DAW. So it kind of like, it kind of keeps you in check in that way, where it's like, okay, well, you got like 18 seconds of audio. Yeah. So like now, like, let's go see what happens with that. But I think it's just fun to have tools like that at your disposal to kind of go like, okay, what can I do to like break myself out of my known places in songwriting, you know, like the real sort of like known quantities that you go back to over and over again. That's like something I'm thinking about a lot these days.
Was the album all started guitar and voice, or was there any thing that had a weird starting point?
I'm trying to think. There are a couple. Okay, well, I Fly, actually, that's a really special one because, and it opens the record. that's a particular case because I've never even sat down and like worked out any guitar. Like even when we do it live, it's with synths, it's with piano. But that is a song that I wrote, like experiencing the thing that kind of all songwriters like love and want to experience, which is that it just like was a download. Like it just sort of happened, you know? And it really was one of those songs where like all of a sudden I just had it in my head. And I had the melody and I had, and like I sat down and in one go, I wrote out the lyrics. And then I was like, oh, this song is done. Yeah. You know, like it's just,
that's crazy.
It's just here now, you know, it was really strange, you know? And then after that, I went to Félix Leblanc, who's a really good friend of mine in Montreal, and he played keys on a couple of songs on the record. And I was like, okay, this is the song. And I just sang it to him in the air, top to bottom. And I was like, you know, let's like find some chord shapes around this that make sense, and we'll kind of go through and we'll see harmonically what fits and what doesn't fit so much, and that's how we you know finished composing that song, which like is a really unusual process for me. Like that's not usually how it works at all. So I Fly was a really, really sort of like special case. I'm Alive as well. I'm Alive was originally a vocal improv that I had done with that same keyboard player, with Felix. Like he and I are really close friends. We were roommates at one point, and we had gotten together and we just to jam, like just to kind of see what would come out. And we came up, he started doing like, you know, improv on piano, and he has and it's obvious when you listen, but like he has it definitely like very, very sort of like anchored in his jazz background. And so he's like, you know, he's playing, and then I started sort of like doing some vocal improv over top. And so that's how we ended up with the melody of I'm Alive. And then from there it was kind of like, okay, well, we have this like sort of song, and we'll kind of see what happens. And then from there, it ended up being like a song that we built out, the three of us. So like that's a co-write between myself, Félix Leblanc, and Rihanna as well. So that's another one that's like, that had quite a different process to it.
Yeah. That's cool. And how, like, you want to incorporate more happy accidents? What are some other like ways you're experimenting with how you're writing?
What are some other ways I'm experimenting with how I'm writing? I'm a big fan of writing exercises. Like I'm a big fan of exercises or writing games even. Like over the last couple of years, I've really had the chance to do some like songwriting exploration and master classes and courses and stuff with some really, really amazing artists. And one of the people that I did that with, like during the pandemic, actually, Becca Stevens started doing some things like out of New York on Zoom. And she's an artist who's like really, really been like very influential for me. And, so I was doing these master classes with her, and in these classes, she would give us like a lot of really like, you know, she wanted to give us real sort of like tools that when you're sitting down to write a song, like, okay, like I don't have to think about it too much. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do this exercise, for example. And, you know, it connects back to happy accidents too. Like this, one of the things that she asked us to do was, you know, write using either an instrument you don't know that you don't play, or if you don't want to do that, you have to change something about your instrument, so to make it unfamiliar. So that can be like an alternate tuning. That can be just to make it a new. It's just to make it new
all
again.
All the tunings are big for that. Like it's a whole nother thing.
100%. And that's how, like, it's through that kind of exercise, at least in part, that I ended up writing The Star, actually, from the record. And that song is really different in so many ways from so many other things that I've written.
What was the change?
I changed the tuning.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what is it?
I'm trying to remember what it is. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, wait. It's not on the star. I lied. It's not on the star that the tuning is different. It's on Like We Used to Do that the tuning is different. I am confusing them talking about Becca Stevens because I wrote both the star and Like We Used to Do using exercises from her.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's on Like We Used to Do that the tuning is different. The tuning is DGD GBD. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. And it's also, it's like, it's also in 5. So it's got that sort of like lilting instability going on. But I find too that like writing that song, it kind of made me approach the guitar a little bit more like, not because of the tuning specifically, but just like the style of playing. It kind of made me approach it a little bit more like almost like a bass player. Because there's this sort that there's like that constant sort of like little riff going on underneath in the guitar. And like, not much else in the guitar until the chorus. And, so that was one way that we like, we made an instrument unfamiliar, but that's like, these kinds of techniques are things that I'm like really, really, really into. Like, it's just anything to like take myself outside of myself. Is good,
And so like you sit down with the guitar and you just start with a G chord for the millionth time, like.
Well, exactly.
It changes how you do it.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Becca Stevens, is that who you said?
Yeah.
Haven't heard of her.
Oh my God, she's amazing. Yeah.
I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, she's awesome.
What else have you been listening to recently?
I have been, it's funny. I'm not going to be able to like necessarily like name drop a lot of people that people are like are going to be like, oh, because I'm in a phase right now where I'm actually listening to a lot of Irish traditional music or like or like new traditional, so like people like really like young people or like contemporary artists who are really sort of like taking up that tradition, which is so sick. And that's something that I've been like thinking a lot about in the last couple of years, like sort of reconnecting with like ancestral music traditions and thinking a lot too about how that relates to language. Language is a really big part of my life. Like I'm from here. I grew up in a French speaking community. I, now live in a majority Francophone place and have been there for many years, but I also studied other languages in university. So, I studied and also worked for a time in Spanish, and then I did a minor in Arabic language at McGill. So languages are a big part of like what sort of makes me like excited in the world, like that's just like a thing that feeds me, that I find really nourishing is thinking about language and learning languages. And in the last couple of years, I've also started thinking a lot more about like my like ancestral language lineages, like, thinking about Irish for sure. And also like there's a huge like Irish language revival movement now, which I just think is so rad and amazing. And I had the chance in the last couple of months to actually take Irish language classes in Montreal. So I've been doing that. And then I also, when was that? 2025 in March. So like almost a year ago, I was the artist in residence for a festival in Montreal called Ficas, which is a festival that celebrates like Nordic arts and culture and like artists who are either from those countries or, who are of, Nordic heritage. And I have roots in Iceland and in Denmark. And so for that residency, they gave me the opportunity to like invite a Nordic artist, like a Scandinavian artist, to Montreal, which was amazing. So I invited someone who I had actually seen here when I saw her play, like many, many years when I was like just starting. I was like 17 or 18. And it's an artist from Iceland called Lalo. And so the festival like flew her to Montreal, and we spent like 4 days getting to know each other and playing and writing together. And we like wrote a new song together, and then we put up a show for the end of the residency. And one of the things that we did for this show was we translated one of my songs into Icelandic and we sang it together.
Ooh, that's cool.
Which was just like so unexpectedly so emotional. Like it made me sometimes I think that when we do stuff like that, it really unlocks things that are kind of like, that are kind of like buried in there, but really do like connect to something like from beyond us, you know, or like that really like sort of connects us to where we've come from and the people that we've come from. And so I've been, you know, thinking a lot about the place of these languages that, you know, a lot of Canadians have lost touch with, and what we stand to gain by reconnecting with those things. And so I'm listening to a lot of Irish trad these days. And I'm like learning a lot of like, just like Irish drinking songs and Irish ballads. But actually one recommendation I will make is at Folk Fest this past year. I was in town for that, cause my girlfriend, who's also a musician, was playing with Basha Bulat. And, so we came for the weekend, cause like, how can you not? And I discovered the band Ye Vagabonds.
Oh yes. I didn't see them, but I checked them out.
Oh man. It was and that's the kind of band that it really is worth it to discover them live. Like, I'm so glad I got to see them. The records are great. The records sound good. Like they're super cool, but I think that type of music, you know, that's like, so it's like, Irish music is designed to be appreciated in person, right? Like it's like it's like, you know, like music you like play with your friends like in the tavern. Like it's music that you play in your living room. Like it's music that really has that like in-person community component to it. And so like they did a tweener on the main stage. And I can't remember who, one of my friends was with me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know you're going to like this." And I was like, "I don't know what this is at all." And within the first song, I was just like standing in the field openly weeping. So he was totally right. But they just released a new record. And that's definitely worth a listen. Ye Vagabonds.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So the more I go to festivals, and I think especially Folk Fest, like you kind of start to get an ear for like, okay, which genres are like meant to be live. Like I'll hear the song and I'm like, okay, this isn't like really hitting, but like I just know that like this is gonna be insane live, like just because of like it has that certain like live energy. Yeah,
100%. Or like music that's really, I don't know what it is. Like I suppose that like you could really like sit and do an analysis about why these things really like carry a lot of their magic in a live setting. But even like trying to analyze it, like it feels like it kills some of the kills it, like takes away some of the sparkle.
Yeah. What do you have coming up?
Aside from the songwriting that I'm gonna be doing in the next couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about, I fly back to Montreal on the 16th of March, and then on the 17th. I'm going to do this really fun, I'm part of this really fun series called Les Soirées Boomtown, which is something that they're kind of doing. It's organized by an artist called Thomas Ariel in Montreal. And they are these kind of like laboratory evenings. So the idea is that like he curates like, 4 or 5 artists for each of these nights. And the idea is that you're using it to test out new stuff. So you're not doing stuff from like the record that you're promoting. You're not like, it's really specifically to like try out new songs that you're kind of like, who knows what's going to happen, you know? So like, it's very fun because, I went to one a couple of months ago, and like, there are some people who really like take it super, super seriously, and they like write all new songs just for this night. Like I have an idea of like some of the stuff that I'd like to do. There's like, I have a new song that's like finished, but I've never gotten to test out in front of an audience before. So I'll probably do that one. But it's just going to be fun because it's going to kind of take me out of the music that I've been doing recently. That's like basically like the show is all from the record right now. And it's going to let me play some stuff that I feel in a lot of ways like more excited about because it's so fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that on March 17th at Verbouteille in Montreal. So if anyone's in Montreal, can come out and say hi. Mm-hmm. And then after that not in April. I still have some stuff end of March. I'm going to be doing another songwriting camp in Saint-Adrien in Quebec. That's going to be awesome. It's called Le Camp Potera that I'm going to be going and doing. And that's like another studio residency. So it's like we're going to be in teams and we each get a studio and we like make as much stuff as we can in like 3 or 4 days. So I'll be doing that at the end of, it's like this spring is pretty wild. Like it's pretty rock and roll from top to bottom. But so when I come back from there, then I will be flying to Calgary because my record is nominated for 3 Canadian Folk Music Awards, and the gala is in April. Yeah. So yeah, excited to see like what's going to happen there. Just delighted to be nominated. But the record, I'm nominated for New Artist of the Year, a contemporary album, and then Ray is also actually nominated as Producer of the Year for that record. Nice. So really proud of that.
Is that always in Calgary, or is it move around?
It moves. Yeah. The year before it was in Ottawa, which like would have been way more convenient for us. But yeah, this year it's in Calgary, and we're going to be playing one of the galas on April 9th. So I'll be out there doing that. And those are the big things coming up for now.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Super exciting.
Very exciting.
And yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was a great time.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Until next time. Thank you so much for watching this episode of In the Zone. If you're on YouTube, you can like the video and subscribe to support the show. If you're on another podcast platform, give us 5 stars, give us a follow, do what you can. Just throw me a freaking bone here, okay? I'm busting my ass day and night to make a good podcast just for you. So please do what you can. I appreciate it. While you're at it, go over to Instagram at inthezone.wpg and give that a follow if you haven't already. Thank you so much. You're the best. Love you lots. See you next time.